Hi. Honestly, I can't quite remember the last time I posted a devlog. It's been a while. Over the past few months, our team has made a lot of new progress, and we're excited to share with you now. But since it is a lot, we will be splitting it into a few separate videos. In this episode, we will talk about the newest update and also the starting point for many other exciting changes in the project, gameplay and art direction. Since the last devlog went live on YouTube, I have sent a build to a few people I know for playtesting, and we have received a lot of feedback. The most common professional feedback we got was about the game's art direction, and to be honest, I could clearly see that issue myself the moment we finished our first 3D models and tested them in-game. But because of limited budget and our lack of expertise in art direction, it was really hard for me to make meaningful changes at the time. That started to change between January and May 2025 when I had the chance to work with a senior who could help fill those gaps in our team. Then in June, he officially joined the project as our art director, and he made a lot of solid adjustments, and especially to the characters. These changes didn't just affect how the game looks, but also how it feels to play. Because once we adjusted things like overall proportions, the movement and combat animation started to feel so much more satisfying and impactful. Next up, gameplay. If you remember, the original direction of the Mage Slayer was a mix of 2D&a-half platformer and third-person combat. But at this point, we've decided to remove the 2D&a-half platformer part, meaning the game will be now fully third-person. There are two main reasons behind this change. First, having two core gameplays with two different camera perspectives would make the camera movement and controls much more complex, because they need to properly support both experiences. As the development went on, I realized that this also means the number of bugs down the line could be easily double or even triple. And for a small indie team with a limited budget, that's honestly a very risky situation. A simple example is how we would need to constantly switch and adjust camera angles depending on the area in the game. Second, this kind of gameplay structure can create a certain level of friction when switching perspectives, and it takes a lot of time to tune properly. Here's what I mean. In platformer games, movement params are usually very different compared to third-person hack-and-slash games. A simple example is the character's rotation rate. In a platformer, it often needs to be very fast, even snappy, so the character instantly turns to match the player's input. That helps players stay in control in high-risk situations like jumping over hazards or quickly dodging enemies. But if you use those same settings in third-person hack-and-slash combat, controlling the character can start to feel uncomfortable or even unnatural. For this kind of combat, you usually want a much slower and more deliberate turn rate or rotation rate. Of course, we could maintain two different sets of values and tune them separately for each gameplay style. But then we are back to the first problem, more buggy things and a lot more development time to make both the platformer and third-person combat feel great. One key reason behind this gameplay change came directly from playtesting and from my own time playing the build. Every time the game switched from third-person to side-scrolling, players felt a noticeable disconnect. From the start of the project, combat has always been the core of the Mage Slayer. And mastering the combat isn't only about understanding the mechanics, it's about developing strong, gradual sense of control in third person. When you play third person games, staying in a consistent perspective helps players build instinct over time. I mean, skills like movement control, spatial awareness, camera handling even need to be trained outside of combat. But when you switch back and forth between side-scrolling and third person, that training gets interrupted. Players can struggle with basic fundamentals like dodging, approaching enemies, and positioning. And many of our playtesters were very honest. The constant camera switching simply felt uncomfortable. So in the end, I made a difficult but clear decision. We're removing the platformer core gameplay and fully committing to a third-person action-adventure direction. And those are the biggest changes we made to the project so far. In the next video, I'll talk about our team's workflow for improving our game feel. See you soon!